Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando. That's Corey. And today we're doing 2021's No Man of God.
No, comma, man of God?
No man of God.
You saw, no man of God.
So, before we get started, if you want to follow me or Corey on Twitter, you can follow me at Junior D's. You can follow Corey at Corey_Idol. And if you want to follow the show, you can follow us at Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Kiss the Reviews. Let's jump into this cast of No, Man of God. So, this film stars Elijah Wood as Bill Hagmaier, Luke Kirby as Ted Bundy, and Aleksa Palladino as Carolyn Lieberman.
Let's have fun with Ted Bundy.
Let's have fun with serial killers. Yay! So you and I talked before we recorded this, and yes, this is my stance on this movie. This is the type of movie where if I'm going through, I think I watched it on Amazon. If I'm going through Amazon or Netflix or whatever, and I see it, and I go, I wonder what this is. And I read the thing, and Ted Bundy and FBI agent. I might go, that's interesting, I'll watch it. Mm-hmm. If you've watched, 5 minutes of any of our reviews, you'll kind of catch on to the fact that, we're kind of taking a piss on everything, including ourselves. Mm-hmm. This is a bit more of a serious kind of themed movie. So for me, it's really hard. I don't really have many Ted Bundy jokes in the chamber, lined up and ready to go. I don't know about you.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, Bill. Why don't you tell me?
I don't know. You're smarter than me. You're a better host than me. I go where you take me. I'm here to learn.
You think you're better than me?
I'm not here looking for evidence. I'm looking for understanding.
Corey's going to be in the FBI. You're going to be a profilist.
I got in trouble on TikTok for profiling.
I don't think it's the same thing.
It's not?
No, I don't think it's the same thing. I think it's different.
Then no, I could not do this job at all then. I'd be bad at it.
I'll say this. I do find this job just to give everybody who hasn't seen this movie a little glimpse into this. So Bill Hagmaier was an FBI analyst, and he was one of the first FBI profilers once they started looking into serial killers. Mm-hmm. I find this job, and whether you're talking about this movie or the show you turned me on to, Mindhunter, I find this job so fascinating.
Exactly.
It is fucking terrifying because in every situation these guys are in, being the interviewers, they all become friends with them.
Yes.
They go to bat for them. They like them as people. And that's how charming these fucking psychos and sociopaths really are. It is a phenomenal subject. Again, not a lot of room for comedy here. So,
no, not a lot of room for honk honk.
Whoever said Schrape can't be funny, you never met us reviewing a Ted Bundy movie.
You never met Ted Bundy. Let's fucking do this. So the film opens with Bryant Gumbel reporting about Ted Bundy's death via the electric chair, and it then cuts to Bill Hagmaier, who, as we said, was one of the first FBI profilers. He's getting ready for his day, drives to work, and his boss lets everybody know that they're expanding who they're profiling, and Bill volunteers to take Ted Bundy.
And this was an interesting scene, too. I like the setup, how, they just formed this. It's actually taken off. This is almost like watching Mindhunter and then immediately watching this movie.
Yes.
And it's like a, 10 years later kind of situation. Like you
Yep.
skip all the red tape after what happens in Mindhunter and you go to this.
Yep.
So I like how they kind of name drop some of the other serial killers, Son of Sam. I didn't recognize the other one, but they're all volunteering, and nobody wants Ted Bundy because apparently Ted Bundy hates the feds.
Yeah.
Which, can I just say this?
Corey's life lessons.
Hi, writers. Uncle Corey here. It's an easy trap to lay into, and this is why we have people edit our scripts in our books, not us doing it ourselves. Every single character in this movie says, everyone knows Bundy hates the feds.
He hates feds. He won't talk to any of us.
Agent, he's not going to talk to you. He hates the feds.
Well, they didn't even think you'd talk to us.
Well, because I hate feds.
Figure out a different way for them to all say the same shit. Because it's just fucking annoying.
Well, in this meeting, one of the dudes says it. And then like the captain or whatever, the boss says it. And then he gets to the prison and the warden says it.
Yep.
It just keeps getting regurgitated throughout this movie. But the funny part that I found with this, if you're going to find anything funny, so Bundy requests that Hagmire write letters or a letter to him to request to talk to him. Yep. And that's what he's requiring on his end. So Bill begrudgingly writes the letter, and then they communicate for a while via letter until he actually visits the prison.
Yep. And I think the letter started off, they don't show much of it, but I think the letter actually started off like, "My dearest Samwise."
My dear Sam, you cannot always be torn in two.
I'm sorry. I love Elijah Wood. I shouldn't be fucking picking on him like that. That's my guy.
I do like, and I like him in this.
He's fantastic in this.
I think he's great in this. But what I don't like or don't get, and they could have kept this out, and it would have kept he doesn't like the feds to a minimum here. The warden, I would assume, knows that Hagmire has been writing to Bundy and vice versa.
Yeah.
Correct? So when he shows up to, like, the warden here acts like this is a surprise visit, and you think Bundy's going to talk to you, he don't like the feds, and it's like, bro, they've obviously been communicating back and forth, because he calls down like, tell Bundy fucking dipshit's here. And he's like, oh, he wants to talk to him? Like, he's all shocked and shit. It's like, guy, get over it. You know they've been writing. Just let him go do his thing.
This was just more of an exposition dump. I think just to drive home the fact, like, he's going to toy with you. Like, this is how smart Ted Bundy is without having to go into how smart Ted Bundy really actually was.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. It's just a lot of the scenes with the warden are irrelevant because much like, what was this movie, Penitentiary?
Yeah.
The warden's actually not in anybody's way here at all. It starts off where you're like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Jackass warden's going to be the problem, and Bill's going to have to overcome this guy and Ted Bundy as well, and it's a juggling act. And who's aiming for what here? And it's just like, no, that never really happened. The warden's like, he's going to get you. Oh, he likes him? Cool. He likes you. Go talk to him. He's fucking bringing them gum. They're fucking like playing patty cake and shit.
Yeah. Well, and it starts off like, so he finally gets down there and actually sits down with Bundy. They almost immediately have like this really good rapport, and Bundy opens up to him a little bit after Hagmire shares some of his past and how he like ended up at the FBI. And when Hagmire goes back to the FBI office, he gets debriefed on his meeting with Bundy, and his boss tells him to keep pulling at the thread because, you know, he doesn't talk to the feds, and now he's talking to the feds, so keep pulling on that thread. So it then here cuts to 1986. Hagmire is back to visit Bundy, and they get to work. Hagmire brings his tape recorder and starts recording their conversation. And they begin by going over the case files to profile some of the murders, starting with the Green River murders up in the Pacific Northwest. It then from here cuts to 1987. And you can see that their relationship is kind of blossoming. Hagmaier's sharing funny stories about his family, and he starts to ask Bundy about his daughter. And Bundy then tells Hagmaier that he can't do this anymore because Hagmaier's getting in his head, but Bundy decides to continue, and they get into like his relationships with women, like his fiance, his wife, his girlfriend, etc. But
that was another really weird scene that I didn't fully comprehend. And again, I'm not saying it's a bad scene. Yeah. It's just weird, and it's possible I didn't fully comprehend it. But when he's like, you know, you're getting in my head, like, if I were to escape this prison, you know what I would do. What would I do? And then, like, Bill breaks it all down for him, and he's like, and then it's just like, all right, cool, turn the tape back on, guy. It's like, well, that wasn't a big crisis of confidence you had there. Like, you seem pretty level-headed, Ted.
Exactly.
You're good.
Well, and I got a one real quick don't do that. Outside of, like, don't murder people.
Don't do that, it's not good for you.
Hi, I don't know, possible FBI profilers out there and people talking to, like, serial killers and shit.
They are not watching this show.
They're watching it for you. So, if you're sitting down, I don't know, to write a book, an article, you're an FBI profiler, and you're with this serial killer, I don't care how close you guys get, do not ever share funny, whimsical stories about your 4-year-old child and your wife and shit at home. Just don't do that.
You were right.
Probably a good idea. I would say this, though, like, if they're gonna die, like, if you know, like, let's just say, hypothetically, they're convicted of doing lots of rapes and murders all across the continental U.S., and they've been convicted to the electric chair in a state like, let's just say, Florida. That bitch dying. There ain't no Florida governor that's, like, gonna stay that fucking execution. It ain't happening. The only other place you're getting fried quicker is fucking Texas. So,
yes.
If that's the case, it's like, what are you gonna do? Haunt my kids? I'll tell you every fucking story you want to know, because, bitch, you're gonna die soon.
I would just make it up. I would just make it all up.
See, that's what they would know. They would know that shit. You got to give up some of yourself to get some of them, bro. That's how we do it in the BAU.
Cool. I'll jizz in a cup and you can drink it. You can get some of myself and you. How's that? I ain't sharing shit about me.
God, I don't think the FBI is watching this show for me.
Hell yes.
You put on a corn tee. Look, you're an all black.
Yeah.
Corn t-shirt, which we all know inspires murder. Because music does that for people.
It does. If you listen
to
you're heavy metal music.
2 girls, 1 cut me.
So we then cut to 1989. Hagmaier's boss calls him into his office and lets him know that Bundy is set to be put to death in 7 days. Bundy said that he would admit to his crimes, but he only wants to speak to Hagmaier.
So they did the 7-day execution in Florida where they could have made it, like, it's unusual, they said.
Yeah.
Because he could have had it for 30 days, 60 days, but for some reason the governor wanted it for 7 days for political reasons.
Yeah, I think they didn't make mention of, like, the election coming up or something along those lines, so he was doing it for a bump in the polls.
Yeah. How important is your Pride Parade now, Disney? Look what happened. Signed, Ron DeSantis.
Hagmaier drives down to the prison here, knowing he's on the clock, and there's a whole circus surrounding Bundy, and he gets there, and Bundy's in there with, like, I don't know, 10 lawyers, and everybody's got files, and he kicks the lawyers out to meet with Hagmaier alone. And then the female lawyer's like, we can't do that, and and she loses literally every fight that she's in from here on out.
She is a gigantic pain in the ass. She's the thorn in Bill's side that should have been the warden.
Yes.
Because, like, and she comes in way too late in this. For me. Now, I understand her character, civil attorney, specifically trying to get people off death row. That happens in literally every death row case across the country. Like, the ACLU has fucking armies of attorneys that go out to do this shit.
Yeah.
So, fine, totally get that. But, like, the way she's just like, yeah, I'll be conducting these interviews. It's like, dude, you're trying to keep him off death row. That's it. And you're acting like you're trying to prove him innocent of all these crimes.
Yeah.
And it's like he's getting ready to confess. The FBI's on their way. Sit in and make sure he doesn't fuck himself in a death row case, but he's already set to die. He's supposed to be exchanging information for leniency.
Yes.
So what is your purpose exactly other than fucking things up for him?
For the rest of this movie.
Yeah. And not even for Bill, like you're fucking your client.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So Bundy apparently says that the finality of everything is starting to set in, so he starts freaking out. Bundy tells Hagmire that there are other girls out there and he's trying to use them as leverage to try to push his execution back. And then you get all of the investigators starting to come in from all the other states asking questions about how he murdered the girls, where he dumped the bodies, etc. And this is the part that I don't get, because his lawyer here, right? So they're going through all the investigators, and then she sets up an interview for Bundy to tell his side of the story to Dr. James Dobson, some like televangelist.
Oh,
for like
this
a TV show.
This guy's a very real person, and he's a very real piece of shit.
Oh yeah. He's a big piece of shit.
Yeah.
And I know he's a real person, but I don't understand, because Bill's like, no, we said no media. We said no blah, blah, blah. Like, he's going through, like, this is the FBI. You know, I know he's an analyst and not like a field agent, whatever. But he's still part of the FBI. And he's like, dude, we said no media. And I know she's trying to get him off of death row.
Mm-hmm.
But here's an FYI to lawyers out there. Doing a TV, a televised interview with a televangelist is not getting your client off of death row. It's just not going to happen. These guys are gigantic pieces of shit.
You were right.
This is what is going to happen literally anytime you involve anybody trying to get anything out of somebody. They're going to take what they want and tell you to fuck off.
Yes.
He has no reason to talk to the governor after he got what he wanted, as much as he tells you, especially a fucking televangelist. This guy steals money from blue hairs for a living, bro.
Yes.
And you think he gives a fuck about rat fucking Ted Bundy? Get the fuck out of here. He doesn't care. He's going to jerk off while they're electrocuting him and say it's God's fucking will that his semen hit his assistant.
He just wants another G6, okay? That's all that's happening.
Yeah,
that's
get
all
the
he wants.
fuck out of here. This guy's going to buy the Houston Astrodome after this interview. Get the fuck out of here.
Exactly.
And this is the, again, same thing we've been telling women for, I guess, years now on this show. Get the thing before you give up your thing.
Yes.
Whether it is sex or whatever leverage you have, get him to, you know, Ted Bundy's getting executed in 7 days. You know when you can interview him? In 8 days. Oops, now it's 10 days. Oops, now it's 12. Every day you take that the governor doesn't make up his mind, your interview is going to take longer, because we both know what that interview is going to do for your church and the governor's political donations. Think for your fucking self, kids. Why are we doing this for you? It's all about leverage in this world.
And again, what I also don't understand, and call me cynical, call me whatever you want to call me, right? Your two choices here, okay, as Ted Bundy. And I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad for Ted Bundy, but your two choices are death or basically the rest of your life in prison. I sort of choose death. Like, who cares at this point? Like, it literally doesn't matter because you're basically just a caged animal at that point for the remainder of your years. Like, why? That annoys me or intrigues me. I don't really know what about all of these dudes, like the mass murderers and, you know, people that are doing life in prison that are on death. And it's like, I don't want to die. I don't want to go on death. Why? Your life is over, okay?
It's ego. It's
I mean, I
all
guess.
fucking ego. Besides, you know, like he was still getting naked pictures of girls. He was able to trade those for comforts inside a prison. He still had a wife. He still had his daughter. I could see
I guess.
why. And again, he had things like it was a game to him. That's why he wanted to play like, now I'm going to play Idaho against Florida. Like, you're not influencing elections.
Yeah.
You know, but it's all this ego inside these guys' head where they just don't comprehend that the majority of people, by the time we've caught them and they've done all of these heinous acts, we just want to see you die, bro.
Yeah.
Like, we don't care about finding, like, honestly, if you really ask yourself, do you want to find Natalie Holloway or do you want to kill Jordan Vandersloot? Most people outside of Natalie Holloway's family want to kill Jordan Vandersloot. They don't give a fuck about finding
100%. They were having tailgate parties outside of the fucking prison. Exactly. Of course they wanted to. And here's the funny thing. They weren't even going to see it. It's not like it's going to be televised. It's not like it's a pay-per-view. No. It should be, but not like it's going to be.
Lower my taxes and murder people.
It's basically, I equate these people tailgating outside of the prison like the people waiting for the white smoke for the Pope. Like that, It's the same thing. You don't see shit. You just see the white smoke and you're like, yeah, for what?
Yep.
Go home. What are we doing here? Fuck out of here.
Doesn't affect you in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, your mortgage is due. Rent's due, motherfucker, at the end of every fucking month. That's just how that works.
Yep. And since we are creeping into the season, let's just do this, because this equates.
Corey's Life Lessons.
Hi, sport fans. Specifically, Bills fans. Uncle Corey here. Your team wins. Your team loses. You see somebody in the stands with a different jersey on. Their team's winning or losing. Leave them the fuck alone. We're all just here to watch a fucking game. Don't be stabbing people. Don't throw your fucking opponents into cars and stupid. You will never, and I mean this sincerely and wholeheartedly, never be asked to play professional sports. So stop auditioning with other people in the stands. Shut the fuck up. Shove 8 or 9 hot dogs in your mouth. Shove 8 or 9 beers down your fucking fat throats and watch the fucking game and then go the fuck home like everybody else does.
The warden tells Hagmire that there's going to be people on both sides declaring Bundy either sane or insane. And it's basically boiling down to him, to Hagmire, to be the tiebreaker. So he'll be the one who basically decides whether Bundy is going to be executed or not.
And this had about as much spoiler attached to it as fucking Titanic did. I wonder what's going to happen. What's he going to decide, guys?
Well, you know what? When we first started this review, I didn't want to be like, Bundy dies at the end. So I didn't want to spoil it for everybody. Even though at the very beginning of the movie, it's literally the announcement that Bundy just died in the electric chair.
Yeah. Like,
so
it happens in every universe, guys.
It does. So Hagmire then takes one last-ditch attempt to try to get Bundy to confess before his execution. And Bundy then takes Bill on a journey through the mind of a murderer as he describes a murderer as he holds Hagmire's hands. This whole scene was weird.
This whole lead up to the execution was weird. I don't know if you were meant to make us feel bad for Bundy, if we were supposed to, like, be with Bill because Bill's crying and also, like, apparently empathizing with the victim. at some point, I honestly don't know what's happening, because the second Ted Bundy had like 3 preachers putting hands on him and reading Bible verses, I threw up and left the room. I was done. You want to talk about, you want to know what's enough reason to survive, is to keep that from ever happening.
Yes.
If I'm on death row, murder me, or I will stick a pen in my arm and bleed out before anybody can get there. Well before the preacher units decide they're going to do an exorcism on me.
I'm telling you this, was that? And I don't care. I doubt that I'll ever be, never say never, but I don't think I'll ever be in a position where I'll be put on death row.
Oh, you can do it, buddy. I believe in you.
If you try hard enough, you got goals. But if I'm ever in that situation, or let's just call it end of life. Okay, whatever that is. If it's one of those where I know it's coming and they send a preacher in or a priest or whatever the hell. Mm-hmm. First of all, if my family has anything and they know me well enough, ain't no preacher coming into my goddamn room. But
I know some in-laws that might send the preacher into your room. Just
You're probably right. I fight family. Don't fucking forget that shit. So, but I will immediately send them packing. Like that shit, that comes into my room and I'm like, nope. Did you not see my corn shirt? I know I'm 85, but like, I got a corn shirt from 1994. Get out of my room, preacher man. Like that shit pissed me off. Like when I saw that, like the little room, he like looks in the room and everybody's laying the hands and carrying snakes or whatever the fuck they're doing. That all bothered me. But the movie basically ends as Hagmire and Bundy have one more meeting right before he's to be executed. Hagmire then gets booted from the room to watch Bundy's execution by the warden, and because apparently it's like standing room only. And while in the
I got prison, my ticket still framed. It was dope as fuck, man.
So while in the prison, Hagmire's like covering the phones, and then he calls home to speak to his family, and the movie ends. And then we get some, hey, where are they now? Ted Bundy, dead. So we get some of those title cards.
The lawyer woman, forgettable. There was one scene with the lawyer that I really did like there towards the end, where she's like, I fucking hate this guy.
Yeah.
More than I've ever hated anybody.
Yes.
And he's like, why do you defend him? Because murder is murder. Look, I ain't trying to get preachy on anybody, but I kind of agree with her. I do not want the government to ever have so much power over me that they can murder me. That is fucking terrifying. I want to be able to fight my conviction the entire time I'm convicted. Fuck that. But anyway, I really liked the misogyny test that was given during this film, because I'll be honest with you, I fucking fell for it, just like I bet a lot of other people did. Yep. Because the warden brings up, like, why does his lawyer have to meet with him X amount of times in this period of time? And Elijah Wood's like, that's weird. And they both kind of allude to the fact that she's in love with him, or there's a little hanky-panky even going on with it. Yeah. And it's not that. She was just really fighting that hard to get him off fucking death row.
Yeah. And
I really liked that they brought that back up.
Well, and right before she goes into Murder's Murder, they're sitting in the hallway, her and Elijah Wood, and Elijah's like, why don't you go home and spend time with your family and your husband and go back to your husband or whatever. And she turns and looks at him and she goes, how many times has anybody said that to you?
Has anyone ever told you that you need to go home to your kids?
And and now she just steers him down that whole path.
Right.
Of, this is why I do this. It's not because I'm in love with him. It's not, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm just trying murder's murder, and she goes down that path. I actually loved, it was a little thing, and if you blink, you'll miss it. But I really like that little piece in there. I thought that was kind of cool.
It validated her all over again. Because the whole, she gets her ass kicked this entire thing, and every decision she makes is
she
terrible.
Really does. She really does.
So, when she actually, gets to confess, this is a a thing she truly believes in,
Yeah.
cool. I get you now. I understand your purpose. Even if you're bad at something, you keep trying if it's something you really believe in.
Yeah.
At least that's what I keep telling the women I have sex with.
I mean, all in all, dude, I like this movie. I thought it was really good. I didn't even realize, this is my first time viewing. I didn't realize this came out, 2 years ago? I didn't even know it was a thing.
No.
But I liked it. I like pretty much everything Elijah Wood's in. I think he's a really good actor. I think everybody did a really good job. There was a couple of just weird scenes that I was like, ugh, I don't know about that. But again, all in all, it's something that I would normally watch because I'm kind of weirdly fascinated with this kind of shit.
Yeah, it's what I'm curious about is how accurate the movie is to what the actual Ted Bundy tapes are.
Yeah.
How much was dramatized in this? Because some of what I think was dramatized and what they were trying to imply, with some of the shots and the camera angles and the close-ups, I get it, but also it was a little much for me. And frankly, made it a little derivative. I've seen this. There were so many scenes that I've seen in Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Even if it was based on Bill's book, I've still seen it. So you got to come with something almost honest.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I don't know how honest it really was and how much they gave into fiction and dramatization and trying to keep us interested.
Yeah.
That I would really like to know.
Absolutely.
But like you, I like the movie. Elijah Wood is enough to keep me interested in just about anything. I like him myself. I think he's a fantastic artist. I thought the guy that played Ted Bundy did a good job. I don't know what Ted Bundy sounded like well enough to be like, that's Ted Bundy all the way.
Yeah.
I honestly don't give a fuck. He's not the point of this. It's Bill that's really the point of the movie.
Absolutely.
So, all in all, it was a good movie. Little derivative. I would rather go back and watch Mindhunter because I think they actually got more in depth with the behavioral and psychoanalysis of these kinds of people as opposed to just listening to Ted Bundy and trying to get him to confess in montages.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. It's really hard, though, with this. And the only reason I think they used a lot of the shots and alluded to a lot of things and was because you're so limited on time. With Mindhunter, it's episode after episode episode. 100%. So you're limited on time. So you have to do these montages and it just skips from 86 to 87 to 89 to, you know what I mean? So
right.
You have to do it because this was still an hour 45 roughly. So you kind of have to do that and allude to things and skip over stuff and whatever. But again, like you said, all in all, I thought it was a good movie. I'll probably end up watching this at some point again, maybe. But like you said, I'd rather just watch Mindhunters again.
Yeah, it's a little more in depth. That's all. And that's why I wish they would have focused more on him and Bundy's relationship and how he was able to draw Bundy out through him being personal, because that's also a little bit of what happens in Mindhunter, how they are able to draw these out by revealing personal details and by getting in the muck and not really caring about how they're portrayed on tape. So that is really my only critique. The time for this movie is perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. They could have lost some shots and it wouldn't have been any worse or any better. Overall, it's a good, solid movie that probably enough people won't watch.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But that's all I got. You got anything else?
Nada, senor.
All right. For Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 2021's No Man of God.